We're in the double parasha of VAYAKHEL Pekudei, and the Alter Rebbe speaks in this Maimer ostensibly about the whole notion of Truma. And he notes that the verse speaks in terms of two kinds of Truma, because it says twice Truma. It says Truma LaHashem and then Trumas Hashem. A Truma for God and then a Truma of God. And he explains there are two different kinds of Trumas, and Truma means the giving a gift, and the word Truma also means elevation, and that's a process of elevating ourselves to be of a standard to be able to give something to Hashem. But in passing, the Alter Rebbe discusses how do you elevate yourself in order to be worthy to give to Hashem. And he speaks about the process of Sfiras HaOmer. And he says the Sfiras HaOmer, the counting of the Omer, is 49 days. Why 49? And that's because we have 7 emotional tendencies, 7 midos. They correspond to the 7 sfirot of emotion: Chesed, Gevura, Tiferes, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, and Malchus. And each one of these 7 emotions that we possess is made up of each other. So you end up having shades of emotion, 7 times 7, 49. 49 shades of emotion, and the period of Sphira is the period when we're going to work on each one step by step to elevate and refine that emotional tendency. And it's interesting, the word Sphira, which means lispor, to count, also derives the word sapir, which means, well, it translates often to sapphire, but it means light. In other words, the word for counting is also the word for light. It means that as we count the 7 weeks, which means that we are refining ourselves each day, we bring a greater degree of light into our lives and into the world. Having said that, the Alter Rebbe then explains 2 processes that take place in order to secure that refinement. The first process is mastering oneself and exercising self-control. This is known by the Aramaic term iskafio, which comes from the idea to bend something to a new shape, to bend ourselves to the shape of goodness, because we have negative inclinations, because we have a nefesh bahamis, an animalistic soul, which we need to tame. And in order to tame it, you have to start mastering it. And it may mean things like delayed gratification. It may mean being aware of those things which we are inclined towards, like 7-layer chocolate cake, and to restrain ourselves from it. It may mean that we have to take our negative lusts and our negative inclinations of emotions, I want this and I want that, and restrain ourselves, iskafio. And only then can we have the second step, which is known as ischafcha, which means lahapoich, to transform, to change. As it says in the Shema, V'yahavta es Hashem Elokecha b'chol levavecha. You should love Hashem your God with all your hearts, plural. Singular would be b'chol libcha. It doesn't say b'chol libcha, it says b'chol levavecha, with all your hearts. What does it mean, hearts? Plural, your 2 tendencies. Not just the tendency of nefesh elokis, our godly soul, but also our animalistic soul needs to be transformed. But to transform it, step 1, practice mastery, self-control, ischapio. Step 2, then transform it, tame it in a way that serves the purposes of the higher self, ischapcho. So let's see if we can now internalize that teaching with a short meditation. So gently close your eyes and just become aware of your inner duality. There's a part of you that naturally knows to do the right thing, to live a moral, ethical life, to carry out the mitzvot, which are Hashem's desires. That's your higher self, your nefesh elokit. But you also know full well and are very familiar with your lower order self, your nefesh bahamis, your nefesh bahamit, your animalistic side, the one that tends towards just survival instinct, me, my desires, my wishes, my pleasures, all the puffery that we put around us, surround us, to give our souls a sense of being beyond who we really are. So what we need to do is deal in both respects, and that's why it's in the plural, b'chol levavcha. With both your hearts you should love Hashem. So just consider one aspect of your life that you would like to elevate, transform. Some shortcoming that's the result of a feeling towards something which is not something you should be feeling for. And ask yourself, how am I going to tame my nefesh bahamis in this respect? Because you can. And then you're going to practice it, and practice it, and practice it. And then you'll have the opportunity to use that very tendency, but in a way of kedusha. If it's something to do with food, instead of eating for indulgence, self-indulgence, you will now practice it by elevating it through a bracha and eating consciously. And same with every other aspect of your life. So make a commitment that you're going to introspect and tackle each one of your negative tendencies one by one. Practice control, iskafia, and then transformation, ischapcha. And gently open your eyes and make your world a new world.